we're gonna do a little intro on here real quick. And of course I would like my pen here. Alright, I'll put a little intro and then I could just tell me what happened, alright?
Okay.
Okay. Today's date is April 20th, 2020. Time now is 1:07 a.m. This is Sergeant Sean Hamburger. Present with me is Officer Myers. Mr. Myers is here in reference to a in custody death that occurred on April 19th. The call was dispatched at 22:01 hours and the offense number is 20-061703. Mr. Myers, what's your state your full name?
Lathan Scott Meyers.
Is it Lathan?
Yes, sir.
What's your badge number?
1609.
Tonight you were riding what?
I was 5C6.
5C6. And which unit were you in?
Unit 111.
Oh, you know, that's a lieutenant's vehicle, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, nice.
Things are tight.
Yeah. Tell me, just start from the top on what happened tonight and how you got the call. And
Okay. So we were dispatched a call. It was an urgent assist officer. It was in the 4000 block of Riley Lane, the apartments where Officer Favis is courtesy officer at. And dispatch advised that an officer needed assistance and that his radio was dying. That was essentially all the information that I had that dispatch gave. So I got there quickly. I ran lights and sirens. And right as I pulled up to the apartment, Rabelais got on the radio and said, it's good, you know, if we're running code, we can slow down. So I see where the SFD guys are standing, and then I see Favis and Rabelais, they're standing outside the door, outside of that apartment.
mm-hmm.
And I got to Rabelais asking what's going on. And they said, well, this guy's 86, possibly been off his medication or on some kind of narcotic. I don't really know. So we go in the apartment, and this gentleman he's talking about God and Trump and just this off the wall stuff, and it made no sense. And you could tell that he was not in his right mind. So the plan was to emergency commit him to whatever necessary psychiatric treatment evaluation is necessary. And he wasn't cooperating with any verbal commands, and I'm not sure if he was in the state of mind to even understand what was going on. He was just so out there. And so when we tried to handcuff the individual, he started forcefully resisting. He was jerking his arms. So we essentially kind of picked him up out of the chair that he was sitting in. He was sitting in a recliner. And we tried to pick him up, and he kind of fell forward, and he was on the sofa. And I was actually standing back at this point, and Rabelais, Favis, and Davis handcuffed him. He was resisting. He was pulling away. So there was a little bit of a struggle there, holding on to his arms to try to get him handcuffed. That's the extent of how physical it got. It was just trying to go against his arms, just holding on to his arms, trying to get him behind his back so we could handcuff him. We double cuffed him. And then when we tried to walk him outside of the apartment, he was kind of dead weight. He was still yelling. He was talking about God and all this other stuff, and it just didn't make any sense. And he wouldn't support himself to stand up. He was completely dead weight, just falling on the ground. So Rabelais and Favis, they have him underneath the arm, and they're just using all of their strength to support him up, because the guy would just have fallen. He was making no effort to stand up. So they couldn't really get him through the threshold of the door. So myself and Davis grabbed him by the pants leg. So like Rabelais and Favis each had an arm, and me and Davis each had a leg, and that's how we got him outside. And then we set him down gently on the ground outside, rolled him over, and that's when fire department did their evaluation, and they realized rather quickly, like, we gotta get him on the ambulance. I don't know what was going on medically, I could tell you, but I know SFD said we gotta get him to go. So they brought him to the back of the ambulance, and we had to uncuff him before they put him on the gurney. So I couldn't tell you who was holding the gentleman up, but he was being held up, and I uncuffed one handcuff, and Rock was on the other side, and he uncuffed the other handcuff. And they put him on the ambulance and started doing chest compressions, and that was that.
Okay.
He also, right before SFD, for lack of better terminology, like hooked their instruments to him for their evaluation, the gentleman urinated on himself. I think that's pretty much everything.
Okay. Let's go back. When y'all went into the apartment, who physically picked him up out of the chair and took him to the sofa?
That was Rabelais and Favis.
Okay. And when they did that and they placed him on the sofa, how did they place him on the sofa?
He was like stomach down on the sofa. His legs were on the ground, and his upper body was actually
Kind of like on this table right here,
Yeah,
but on the sofa? Okay.
exactly like that.
Okay. And when you said y'all double cuffed him, just for clarification, what does double cuff mean?
He was a larger gentleman, so in order to handcuff him, we had to take 2 sets of handcuffs. One set connected to his left wrist, another set of handcuffs on the right wrist, and the handcuffs connect to each other
Okay.
behind his back.
Just wanted to, for the record, that you didn't have 2 sets of handcuffs.
Right, no.
I was just trying to make sure.
Yeah.
At any time that you see anybody deliver any distractionary strikes, any pressure points, any soft or hard empty hand?
There were no strikes of any sort.
Okay. Just picking him up and handcuffing him.
And I was kind of the neutral observer. It was Davis, Rabelais, and Favis who were hands-on, trying to get the hands behind the back and actually cuff him. And I was kind of standing by. It wasn't really necessary for me to get involved. We already had 3 officers attempting to handcuff him, so I was kind of neutrally observing, and there were no strikes thrown of any kind.
And the last thing I got is describe the condition of his apartment. And
disarray. There were clothes everywhere. I didn't really get to look too much. My attention was on him. Anytime you encounter somebody that's not in that state of mind, you have to be aware of possible threat. We're in his house. So there is a little bit of a danger element there. So I was more focused on him and what he was doing, just for our safety.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you exactly what was strewn about, but I do know there were clothes everywhere, trash. It was very messy, disorderly.
Okay. All right. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think may be important?
No.
Okay. And the statement you given today been the truth, the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Time now was 1:18, same date, same people present. All right, man. You good to go?
All right.
You can go in the house.